Today is a very special day because this is my first live stream and this is the first live stream on this channel as well. So there's a lot of first things going on here. So let me introduce myself. My name is Ivan. You have probably seen me on this channel over the last year making videos about variety of different subjects related to family. Now, this is a perfect opportunity to actually introduce myself and tell you a little bit more about myself so that you know me more than just as some YouTube presenter. Now, my name's Ivan. Apart from doing YouTube, I'm also a father of two, Enzo and Ty. So two boys, 8 and 11 years old. You've probably seen them in some of the videos because they're not very camera shy. They actually like being on camera. So you may have seen them in some of our videos or shorts. I live in Spain with my family, and this is one of the things that I actually do on a daily basis. Now, I would like to preface today's live stream that I'm not a professional psychologist or professional of any kind related to this sort of subject. So I'm just another parent who is concerned with these sort of issues such as cyberbullying. And as my children are growing up, I am realizing that this is something that I have to face and deal with a lot more and very soon on a daily basis. Enzo has just received his first phone, so this is perfect opportunity for me to deal with this subject. So giving you a quick breakdown, today we're going to be dealing with cyberbullying, talking about differences between regular bullying and cyberbullying, how people underestimate it, that it's actually much worse than regular bullying, and also talking about some of the important cases that have happened in recent years, the differences between our years when we were teenagers and kids and what teenagers and kids have to deal with these days. And I would also like to point out the fact that at the end of the live stream, we are going to select 3 people who will be awarded 3 monthly licenses to our app, FamiSafe app. So stick until the end. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I hope that if you have any questions, I'm going to be able to answer them. Now, let me start with a quick story. I do have a bunch of notes here. So if you hear any paper or if you hear dogs walking around, that's my dogs. And paper is obviously my notes. Now, one of the important cases that has happened over the last few years started in autumn 2016. Now, this is a story of a girl called Mallory Grossman. She lived in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey, in the US. Now, her case started in fall in 2016 when she started being bullied by some of her school friends, maybe past friends, people from school generally. And the bullying started not only in school, but also in social media. She was very quickly bullied on Snapchat, Instagram, and pretty much any social media that she used to visit and use on a daily basis. And the bullying and cyberbullying was slowly escalating to such degree that come spring 2017, the family was already considering moving Mallory to a private school. Now, they never moved her. I don't really know why. There isn't much information about why they didn't move her. We all know that private schools in the US are not the cheapest, so that could have played the role. But they have tried to notify the authorities, the school authorities, and parents try to deal with this issue because they noticed psychological, mental, and emotional changes in her. They also noticed that her school results were suddenly diminishing. And while she had been the usual all-American girl, very active, very friendly. She had a wide circle of friends and she used to do gymnastics. She used to contribute to a lot of local charities, by, let's say, selling jewelry that she would create. And she also had a couple brothers and a sister. But obviously, they didn't manage to move her case in any direction. Everybody was sort of downplaying the bullying and cyberbullying. And on the 14th of June 2017, she was found dead. Mallory Grossman committed suicide, which was obviously very upsetting. And one of the biggest, one of the most upsetting things was that just the night before, her parents were actually visiting parents of another girl who was cyberbullying her, just the night before her suicide. Now, this was obviously very heartbreaking to the entire family, school, all of her friends. And finally, things started moving in a right direction for this issue, if not for the family. Family managed to actually raise quite a lot of money that contributed in this fight against cyberbullying after her death, after her passing. So much so that in 2022 there was a law enacted, which they called Mallory's Law. Now, this law basically imposed new requirements on school and school boards to deal with and to report and act upon any complaints regarding bullying. So this was one of the more significant cases in recent history in the US. Now, this is just one of many cases. According to the latest studies, cyberbullying is a huge issue that has been growing, or pretty much doubling the suicide rates or suicide attempts since 2008. All of these rates, whether it was attempts or actual suicides, have been doubling because of cyberbullying and because of the effects and impact that it has on the lives of teens or even preteens. So cyberbullying is a very serious issue, and probably the most important thing to know about cyberbullying is how it affects not only the victims but also the families, the bullies themselves, and also the witnesses. Just like bullying, it can affect all of the parties that are involved. Cyberbullying is actually even more impactful and even more significant in this respect. The most obviously, cyberbullying or even regular bullying is most detrimental to the victims because it has very strong emotional effects and impact and creates a variety of issues that affect social life, academic performance, and also emotional state of the victims. Now, for me as a parent, one of the most important things is that parents generally, us, we never had to go through something like this. I mean, if you really think about it, we grew up in an environment where we had to deal with bullying. Now, face-to-face bullying is completely different. Some parents, this is one of the reasons why some parents may actually be diminishing the significance of cyberbullying, because for them it's something that is beyond comprehension. They don't understand how words or writing can impact or affect their kids to such degree that they would consider suicide or be depressed or struggle in any way, whether academically or emotionally, because all they have to do, after all, is just switch off their devices, right? But it's not that easy. Well, we were faced with face-to-face bullying, which was usually limited to playgrounds and school. And although still significant in their effect, there was a reprieve. Once the school was over, once you left the playground, if you were bullied by your friends or by your past friends or other kids from school, you could escape it. And the emotional side was also limited because you had that reprieve of escape. A lot of kids, for instance, who were bullied in the elementary schools escaped it by going to middle school or high school, university, and they learned how to get through life just by moving on. There was never anything like cyberbullying where there is no escape. Now, this is the idea why a lot of parents, in my opinion, struggle to imagine why cyberbullying is so bad and why it's a lot worse. Because the only bullying that they had to deal with was face to face. But if you think about it, if you really break it down, just how different our lives used to be compared to the lives of kids these days. Social media gave rise to a completely new phenomenon when it comes to social life or the social aspects of lives of our kids, of young people. There's no longer any privacy. Everybody wears their entire lives on their sleeves, basically on their devices. They're out there for public to explore, read, and everything is curated at the same time. So our kids or young people in general these days are not only exposed to highly curated content, which in itself can create a variety of problems in the fact that these kids have to deal with constant comparison of their own lives to these perfectly curated images or videos or portrayals of lives of social influencers, etc., comparing it to their own lives. But they're also under the pressure of curating their own lives and trying to portray that everything is great in their daily lives as well, that everything is just the way the influencers are portraying it. So there's that struggle, that emotional pressure that social media creates. This is the reason why social media is one of the biggest stressors in lives of young people these days, and why when it comes to the rates of whether that's depression or emotional struggles, even dating and suicides or contemplating suicides, why there has been such a huge rise ever since we've had social media. Now, bullying has always happened, and the fact that parents can't fathom why it's not as easy as to switch off and ignore it is something that we have to deal with right now. Now, cyberbullying, why is it so much worse? We've already established that there's a lot more in life of young people these days that they have to deal with. It's not just going to school, coming home, doing homework, meeting up with friends. Now they're constantly bombarded by lives of their friends, and they're under the pressure of reporting on their lives as well. But cyberbullying, the impacts are not always obvious. Cyberbullying has many forms. And one of the biggest things that in my opinion, is that it's non-stop and it's persistent. And it's also about social destruction. Now, what is social destruction? If you really break it down, if you think about the reasons why bullying in general happens, you have to think about young children. I think some of the research points towards the 2-year-olds, when we can already start seeing some differences in the way children react in social circles or in interactions with other kids. And we can see that children that, let's say, argue more, are more aggressive, scream more, have uncontrollable tantrums, or resolve to either name calling or physical violence. Those are the kids that need to be socialized, and all of these issues need to be addressed with very early on, because these kids may be may belong to the group that has lower empathy, and unless these things are addressed, these kids then grow up with still lower empathy than, let's say, other kids. And while boys resolve to physical violence, when it comes to girls these days, they resolve to social destruction. Now, social destruction is by no means limited just to girls. These days, it's one of the easiest things that a bully can do. Go on social media, hide, and either do it under their name, their friends' accounts, or anonymously. They can exact their justice, so to speak. They can bully and terrorize people without much repercussions, and it's very, very difficult to hide from this. And the social destruction literally offers zero reprieve. There's no chance of leaving it. Not like with a physical face-to-face bullying, when a child was able to go home and take rest or leave that playground, maybe seek a different playground. With social destruction, it's constant. There's no there's no reprieve, no opportunity to escape, or even reported in many cases when we're talking about anonymous cyberbullying. Cyberbullying essentially allows people to reach hundreds, if not thousands of people within seconds and across so many different social media that a child may be visiting, where they may be socializing. They may actually leave a trace that will stay there forever. Like we always say to our kids, whatever you do so on social media, just be aware of the fact that it may stay there forever. It's not like you can decide to suddenly erase things from the internet. And even if you do, people can copy it, they can replicate it, they can adapt it and change it to suit their narrative. And when it comes to gossiping and social destruction, that is something that can have very long-lasting impact, and not only affect you, but also affect your friends. Social destruction may cause a child to feel ostracized even from the circle of his friends, because they may be worried that if they continue to socialize with that child, the child that is being cyberbullied, that it will affect them, that it's going to have the same impact on their lives. And this is something that no child wants to experience. Now, some of the symptoms, this is another thing that is very difficult for a lot of parents to comprehend, is that when it comes to physical bullying, the symptoms are often a lot easier to notice. Some of the symptoms are shared, but let's say with normal bullying, if we're talking about physical bullying, then you may spot some physical traces of it, and it's a lot easier to spot it. But with cyberbullying, the symptoms may include things such as Mallory Grossman was experiencing, which was stomachache, trying to avoid going to places where she would have to face people who were bullying her. And according to some of the studies, most of the time people who cyberbully are from a close circle of past friends, or let's say from school or the neighborhood. So they're people that your child would actually know. Now, when I get back to the symptoms, so it could be physical things like stomachache, depression, anger, your child suddenly being snappy and confrontational, not responding to you in a way that you're used to. Their academic results may be dropping, and they may show disinterest in anything that they used to be interested in their hobbies, school, friends, etc. They may be hiding their phones. They may feel shame and hide things from you that they are related to their lives, or literally hide and private everything that they are doing, everything that is happening to them on social media. And obviously you as a parent, you don't always have an ability to socialize within the same groups online. It's not like you're going to go on Snapchat and sign up and sneak into the circle of friends that your child has. Plus, it's very, very difficult to even track that sort of activity unless you have the right tools. And this is something that we're going to talk about later. Another thing is that we have other personality changes, such as depression, feelings of sadness, child being antisocial, or even displaying antisocial behavior. In some cases, the anger can actually translate into violence, against friends or in school, turning into physical conflicts, emotional instability, etc. It's very difficult. A lot of these things are very difficult to spot or associate with cyberbullying because parents just don't expect it. Let's say you see that there are some changes happening with your child and they are at the age of Enzo, who's 11. I could be, as a parent, assuming that there's something going on in school with either with his friends or maybe first love or something like that. And I could be completely blind to the fact that actually everything that he's going through internally, and at that age, us as parents, we kind of expect children to be a bit more secretive because they're hitting puberty or starting to hit puberty. So a lot of these things we were told and trained by our parents that to expect them, that children are changing during the puberty. The problem is that when we were kids and when we were taught all of these things by our parents, social media and cyberbullying didn't really exist. So I would not necessarily expect all of these changes or all of these visible struggles that I would notice in my son, that they are a result of cyberbullying. And this is the danger, because cyberbullying is actually the second most frequent cause for attempted suicide in children, which is just terrible. Now, we have already talked about the reasons why people cyberbully, and that's mostly due to the lack of socialization during the early stages. I remember that when our kids were younger, there were times when we would find a lot of things humorous and a lot of things were entertaining, because there's this little kid, for instance, having a tantrum, and you may laugh about it. And it's only in retrospect, as you see certain things building up over the years and you have a chance to reflect on the earlier years and then maybe go through some of the older videos, etc., where you spot the signs, you spot all of the mistakes that you as a parent have done, things that you could have corrected early on. Unfortunately, there isn't any recipe for success when it comes to parenting. So every child, every parent, it's a completely different case. Now, when it comes to cyberbullying or bullying in general, it's not just the victim that is at risk. It's also the bullies themselves who are at risk, because they could possibly face legal repercussions. And according to some of the studies, these kids, due to their lower empathy, also have higher propensity towards trying out drugs and alcohol and engaging in antisocial behavior, which often leads to criminal activity. And this is, again, something that kids can hide a lot of times, because it's no longer about meeting up and plotting things and and things to do with your friends around the corner from your house. Now everything is happening through devices, through chat rooms, through messaging apps and texts, through apps that delete any history within 24 hours. So a lot of these things are very difficult to track and are creating a new obstacle for us as parents to surpass and to deal with. Now, cyberbullying, as I have mentioned, most often happens within a close circle of friends or past friends of your child, and there are some clear solutions how to deal with it. Like I said, it's very difficult to spot sometimes, and I will touch base on that a little bit later on. But let's talk about how to deal with cyberbullying if you notice some of the symptoms and you realize that it's not just because of the mundane issues or problems that your child may be going through as they're growing up, as they're hitting puberty, let's say. So one of the things is to find out whether the cyberbullying, the source of cyberbullying is known. If it's known and we know that it's a specific person, that one thing that we can do is, and you should do, is immediately contact the parents and contact school. Since the case of Mallory Grossman in the US, but in many countries, there have been a lot of changes over the recent years when it comes to policies and approach to cyberbullying these days, because of the data that we have these days and the knowledge that we have about the effects and impacts of cyberbullying. So a lot of schools, city councils and school boards are actually used to dealing with it and address it a lot better than they used to. So that means that one of the first things that you could do is report cyberbullying, report it to school and parents of the person if they are known, and deal with it directly. Secondly, you should report the cases of bullying to the app, to the developer of the software that they are using. Many of these apps have also progressed since years gone past, and they have changed a lot of their policies and are a lot stricter when it comes to reported cases of bullying, and they are often investigated with a lot more effort than they used to. Now, there is obviously no quick catch-all solution to this. Nothing that would instantly resolve cyberbullying, because let's say you have cases when it's anonymous, and kids these days are very resourceful, and we all know that. We can all learn that one way or another. If they are scared of repercussions, they will hide things, and they can create anonymous accounts. Or if one account is being reported, then they often can create another account. So it's a vicious circle a lot of times. There are some software solutions that we'll talk about in a bit. But second thing that you can do is be there for your child, and make sure that they understand that you as their parent are there to support them, that you're not going to judge them, you're not going to victimize them or blame them for anything, that they are free to come and open up. This is one of the most important things that I remember in my childhood was very difficult to bridge for a lot of kids, was the open relationship with their parents. And these days, when kids are facing not only potentially bullying in real life face to face, but cyberbullying and there's so much going on in their lives that bridging that gap and feeling like they can fully open up to their parents is sometimes even more difficult. So speaking to your kids, creating very close and open, close-knitted and open relationships where kids understand that you can be there for them without judgment, that you are their support, you can be their confidant in these sort of cases, and pretty much with anything that is happening in their lives, then you will have opportunity to stand by them, to support them, to help them with their emotional states, to explain a lot of things. A lot of times children just have to understand why things are happening to them. And you offering that different perspective can already ease some of that stress in their lives when they're experiencing. Now, don't diminish any of their experiences. Like I said, it's important that there's no judgment, no diminishing, no such thing as saying it's bullying is just part of the school years. This is just something you have to get through, or the usual man up, or stop crying about something like that. Like I said, there's no switching off from cyberbullying. You may switch off, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect your life, that it doesn't influence your circle of friends or create a long-lasting impact on your reputation online, which can last pretty much all the way to your adulthood. And even your future employer can look up information about you and find some disgusting imagery or slurs about your child who is suddenly struggling to find jobs because of that. So don't diminish any of the experiences. Take time, analyze everything, talk to them, and find solutions together. And don't feel like if your child is closing up and right in front of you because they feel ashamed of some of these things and they don't really feel like sharing, don't just take no for an answer. Don't push them. Find a different approach. You are the parent. You need to find an approach that will work, something that will help them, because this is your primary role. You are the carer and their guardian. So another thing that you can do is gather as much information as you can. This is an important thing when it comes to reporting these sort of things, either to the developers, schools, parents of other bullies, or even police. It's very helpful if you gather as much information and as much evidence as possible. Meaning, whenever you see cases like that, keep screenshots of those messages, of the images that were passed on about your child, or anything, any kind of sign of social destruction online. Keep evidence of it. So reporting to the platform, police, school. Okay. All right. So now this is the last part. I already mentioned that you can deal with the psychological side when it comes to helping your child. You have certain ways, if limited, but there are ways of dealing with the results of cyberbullying. Now, the best way that I would recommend is actually to do with FamiSafe, and that's using software and the tools that we have available to prevent it. Prevention, when it comes to cyberbullying, is probably the best way you can actually combat it because of the nature of this sort of bullying. Like I said, cyberbullying is something that can be anonymous and widespreading. It's compared to the physical bullying that is not scalable, cyberbullying is infinitely scalable. and lasting and can have permanent consequences. Therefore, knowing how to prevent cyberbullying is probably one of the best ways you can actually stop it from ever happening. Now, there's no method that would be offering you 100% assurance that it's never going to happen, because technologies are constantly developing. Just like we have antiviruses for all of the new viruses for our devices, whether computers or phones. People who really want to bully other people online always try to find new ways. The good thing is that the companies like Wondershare that developed FamiSafe are trying to combat it from the other end. They're always trying to find new way to make sure that you can, as a parent, prevent it. Now, what can FamiSafe do? How can it help? If you watch our videos, if you have subscribed to our channel, if you haven't, subscribe, because we're always trying to bring you some helpful content. But if this is the first time you're hearing about FamiSafe, then FamiSafe can help parents monitor devices that their children use. It can stop young kids from having access to apps that are perhaps not suitable. Let's say TikTok. My kids, who are 8 and 11, they love TikTok. They love shorts. They love, just like all of the other kids, they love this fast-paced content that is just super easy to consume, and they can just keep swiping through it. Now, as we know, TikTok is, I think it's rated for kids 13 plus, but I doubt that is always the case. Just like in the case of my kids, who are below the ages of 13, they still have access to TikTok through my phone. One thing that I do is that I run FamiSafe software, whether it's on Enzo's, who has just received his first phone, or on my device. I make sure that the content is always appropriate. And this is what FamiSafe can do for you. It can offer you a way to monitor the activity. This does not mean that you are stopping your child from having the privacy. No. They still have the full privacy, the full control, but you are there with you have the data available to make decision which apps are suitable and which are not. You can specify keywords that you want to be notified of if they appear in their streams, in their chats, or messages that they're exchanging with friends. So it helps you to monitor their activity. It helps you monitor how much activity they are actually spending online, how much time they are spending on the devices. It allows you to lock out the devices during the school time or during the night time, so that they don't pretend to be in bed and sleep and actually are browsing the internet or chatting with friends, or potentially being cyberbullied. So it gives you a lot more control about what is happening behind the scenes when you're not looking. It gives you access to their browsing history, for instance, if you want to know. And that also includes, and this is very important, includes the incognito and private mode, which a lot of standard default apps on mobile phones or on the computers don't allow you to. Once you go into the incognito mode, once your child goes into incognito mode, that's it. You have no control about anything. The only people who know what is happening is the service provider and the program developer, and that's mostly in the form of data or necessary cookies, etc. But you as a parent, you don't know what your child is doing when they open up incognito or private window. But with FamiSafe, you have that control. You can have a look what your child is looking at, what they are doing, etc. Now, FamiSafe can also offer you automatic alerts. So this is how, for instance, we use FamiSafe. We allow Enzo to take the phone out with him. And we know that on one hand, we are trying to take care of the threats in the form of cyberbullying or in a digital form. But on the other hand, we also know that if he goes out, we are able to track his location. And we can also create a virtual fence, so to speak, beyond which he is not allowed to go. So he understands the area that he can go out and explore with his friends, but the geofencing option allows us to be notified every time he actually crosses or goes past the boundaries of the geofence that we set up. And this way we can also not only track his position, but know what he's up to in a way. So if I were to finish today's stream, I don't know how long we've been going on for. 40 minutes. If you guys have any question, by the way, questions, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, to sum it up, I would say cyberbullying, if I were to urge you to take one thing from this live stream, is that cyberbullying is something that a lot of parents underestimate because they think regular bullying, face-to-face bullying, is more important. Well, according to all of the research, all of the available data that we have, and even when we're looking at it logically, what our kids, what teenagers have to go through these days, it's very clear that cyberbullying is on another level. It's something that doesn't offer reprieve, can be very secretive, very, very sinister, and something that can have long-lasting effects on whether that's victims, bullies themselves, the circle of friends and family, or even people who are witnessing cyberbullying. And this is something that every parent should pay attention to and realize the importance that cyberbullying actually plays, that potentially plays in the lives of your children. If you guys don't have any questions, I would like to thank you for your time. If you want to be included into the draw for the monthly license of FamiSafe, then go into the comments, either now or right after the stream. Type in a comment, "No bullying," and we will select 3 people who will be awarded the monthly license to our app. Other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this first live stream. I hope that everything was okay, whether that's picture or sound. If not, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it. Looking forward to another stream. Like I said in the beginning, this is the very first stream for me and very first stream for the channel. I'm sure that we're going to be improving into the future and have many more interesting topics. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press that bell for notifications. And if you know any people who can benefit from our content or benefit from knowing about the app, about our product, FamiSafe, then share it with your friends. I, myself, as a parent, I greatly appreciate what FamiSafe allows me, the extra security and the feeling of safety when it comes to my kids and their online activity. So, other than that, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.